You know what? Oh my gosh, it's Mother's Day. It's May.
Mm-hmm.
You and Kathy created this
Mhm.
amazing place. You gave birth to Speakeasy and to Voice Box together, and both of those things have given me a whole new dimension on my life.
Oh.
And I know a lot of people in this room feel the same way. So happy Mother's Day
Oh, thank
to
you.
you both. Thank you. So I am like so surprised to find myself up here. I sat in the audience in February and said very loudly to both my mom and my sister that I was never going to find myself up here. So I just want you to know that life is really interesting because you just never know what's going to happen. So don't discount this for yourself, and I'll let you know how it is when I'm done. But I have this theory about the actual physical experience of giving birth and holding another person within your body, and what you learn about them before they're born, and I want to talk about that, but I wasn't sure I would make it through my story, so I wanted to start by reciting something I had to memorize to graduate from college, which is a Shakespearean sonnet about motherhood. And Shakespeare's trying very hard to convince his wife or his girlfriend to make a baby with him, and he's, in my opinion, doing a very poor job. So I'm going to recite it, and you can tell me what you think. It ends really beautifully, but it's not the type of wooing that would have ever made me take off my clothes and say, put a baby inside me. So, all right. So, when 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep treasures in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery, so gazed upon now, shall be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where are the treasures of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes would be an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserves thy beauty's use if thou couldst say, this young child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse, thus proving his or her beauty by succession line. 'Tis to be made new when thou art old, and to see thy blood warm when thou feelst it cold. So that's Shakespeare. So it's a second sonnet. So anyway, so thank you. This feels like a clubhouse to me, and I didn't really have a group of friends that I left high school or even college with in terms of like real girlfriends. I had my sisters, I had my cousins, but in my 54th year, I find myself with like a group of girlfriends from Speakeasy and from VoiceBox, and it is such a huge blessing. I have 3 daughters and a son, and I just want to tell you a story about who they were before they were born and how they came to bring a specific gift into the world and how I benefited from it. How many people have actually held a child in their body, like mothers, physical mothers? So, yeah, it's, nobody tells you that life hangs in the balance when you give birth. Is anybody, I'm just 25 years old, 25, 26, 27. It's an amazing thing, and sometimes I wish I could have experienced it later in life to have fully, completely appreciated it. My oldest daughter, Mary, I was like, briefly in art school, and I just remember her kicking me. I would sit and be trying to draw, and her little feet would be up inside me just pummeling to get out. Just bang, 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 bang. And that was very startling to me. When she was born, her cord was wrapped 4 times. She was purple, but she was there. She had made it into the world. And her eyes, I'll never forget the fire that was in her eyes. She was like ready to rock and roll. And she lived like that, and she still does. This is a child who came out kicking and found her own place and continues to really fight to find her own place in the world. And the beautiful thing that she did for me is she helped me find my place. She went away to college. She went to drama school at Carnegie Mellon, and she's a television producer. And she came back, and I had started to paint. And she was like, Mama, you're an artist. And this is your artistic process, and this is what you need to know, and this is how you need to manage it. This is a child who, as her father was leaving and moving out, took me and threw me against the wall and said, you do not need him. You don't need him, and I believe in you. She came back for me, and she helped me find a new life as well. She knew how to kick, and she taught me. So that was my first child, and she's coming home this weekend for Mother's Day, so I'm so excited about that. And Elizabeth was second. She was this beautiful thing, like she would just turn. She never kicked, but she would turn continually. It was a super hot summer, the summer I was pregnant with her in 1990, and we lived in the second floor of a 3-flat in Chicago, and I used to go to the Jewel to stand in the frozen foods to get air conditioning. I'm not even kidding. And so she was just like this beautiful, elegant being, and the way she came into the world, it was really rainy, cold fall morning, and she was fully crowned and presenting, and they put those little things in the scalp to monitor the heart rate, and she was presenting face up, which makes it difficult to deliver. And fully engaged in the birth canal, and the doctor's like, oh, she's presenting face up, it's gonna be harder on you. And he said that, and we all watched in the mirror as she rotated 180 degrees to make it easier for me to give birth to her. And she just was born like this hot, bloody mess, and I just like from the minute she was born, I wanted the whole world to go away, and she was so full of grace and beauty, and that has continued to this day, which doesn't mean she doesn't know who she is. And it doesn't mean she won't tell you what she wants. But she has the Libra. She's a Libra. She has that love of beauty and grace. There was a moment when there was a summer when I worked at the local public library and I stamped books in the basement, and she came to see me at work. And all of a sudden I was aware of a presence in the room, and my head just turned. And I was like, that was my daughter. And she had this magnificence about her that was just like this. I couldn't even believe it. Watching her and how she interacted with my boss, and she was so kind and so lovely. And it's a moment I'll never forget, because she taught me that. That's not something that is inherent to me. I don't think it is anyway. But so Elizabeth, Anne used to do this thing. Anne's 26 now. The girls are 28, 27, and 26. And I remember crossing the street for one of my final doctor's appointments in the city, and she would do this thing where, like, boom, like she would jump and all 4 limbs would make contact with my body at the same time. It was like, she would like wake up. And she does that still. She does this thing, like she was really slow to talk, and she would always say, like, what happened, what happened? She had a lot of processing issues with language. And Annie has taught me how to jump in my own life. She embraced her own sexuality from a young age and has gave me permission to see the world in a completely different way. It's an amazing thing when you have a child and they come home and they're like, I'm gay, and people are mean to me and they're making fun of me, and not only do you want to change the whole world so that everybody's nice to them, which is impossible, but she gave me permission to see the world differently. She helped me jump to a different level of understanding of human sexuality, but of other things as well. She's the kind of person, if you were in trouble, you would want her coming for you, because she'd find you and she would bring you home. And we had this one beautiful moment 2 summers ago. She found some shoes in the Allen Edmonds. Allen Edmonds, they're made in America. They're like really great leather shoes for men. And they've got the tassel and the thick sole. And her dad wore those the whole time growing up. So these were like super ingrained in all of our consciousness, his feet on the floor and going out to work. And those were like his shoes. She found some and they fit her. And she brought them home, and we were like marveling at this person that she is, this amazing person who's like fully female, fully male, and this melange of just like beauty and grace. And it was a moment that I just thought, like, sharing that with my daughter and celebrating who she was it was such a gift. So we've got kick, turn, jump, and then my son Joe, who's so adorable. He's gonna be 21 this month, and Joseph taught me how to wait. He taught me how to wait. He taught me how to be present to the moment. And there was a time, he was 3 weeks late. You know what it's like to have a baby who's 3 weeks late? Right? Yeah. It's not fun. I remember them trying to break my bag, and I'm like, you're hurting me, stop. So 3 weeks late, and I remember how time stopped when he was born, and the first thing he did was pass a stream of urine and they're passing him to me, and it was just like time. And I remember the clock was in the background, and like time stood still, and that has been his gift to me. He appreciates time, and he waits in a way. He waits. Probably one of the most lovely things that he ever did for me was he used to make me lay in the middle of the kitchen island. And he just was hugely dyslexic, had a hard time reading, and so not pushed him, but encouraged him a lot with music, and he's actually going to make that his life. And he would put headphones on me, and the countertop's cold and sensory, and it like slowed me down. And he would make me listen to music. He taught me Metallica, he taught me Van Halen, he taught me AC/DC, all these things that I didn't really think I wanted to learn, but he made them really interesting because he would tell me about the history of the band and the musicians, and he would say for me, and he would say, "Wait for it, Mama, wait for it, wait for it." And then it would be followed by some beautiful stream of music or a lyric or something. So yeah, wait for it, Mama, wait for it, Mama. And it was always worth waiting for. It was always worth waiting for. So I thought, in an effort to kind of close up my story, I would turn this all into a dance. Wouldn't that be an amazing idea? So we have a kick, and a turn, and a jump, and a wait. Thanks. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.